Welcome, this is Sheri Traxler with ViREO Life, author of Go Forward, 28 Days to Eat, Move, and Enjoy Life God's Way. Wow, last week's video, the #1 way to wreck your path and 6 signs that you may be guilty of it. Great response to that. Lots of engagement, in fact, it was one of the most viewed videos yet, so thank you all for that. And with the engagement and the questions that have been coming in around finding your path and the things that you struggle with finding your path, I want to answer some of those today. First, a comment that came in I want to share. I want to read this so I get it correct. So true about finding our own path. How often do we try to fit someone else's diet book into molding our way of eating only to find it doesn't work? Then we think we are the failure. No, we only learned that it isn't for us. So on point. Thank you for sending that in. Now, some of the questions that I've had about finding your own path, you may have had these questions, so I want to share them. One of the questions that came to me was, how do I lose weight without reinforcing the diet mentality or exercising all day, every day? That is such an important question, because we don't want to reinforce the diet mentality. But if weight loss is a goal for you and you don't know another way, you're up a creek, I guess is the right phrase for that. Oh, up a creek without a paddle. So when you diet with the diet mentality, and if you lose weight with that, what happens? We all know. The weight comes back on, and you're left with a diet mentality that is reinforced, trapped into that. So the first thing I would encourage you to do is think about your reasons for wanting to lose weight. Is it to please someone? Is it to avoid criticism? Is it because you want to have the fitness level to be able to go out and do some adventure? Is it like a client who her big reason is she wants to set a healthy example for her young son? So once you know your reasons and you like your reasons, then the next piece to look at is intuitive eating. Intuitive eating I've talked about quite a bit, but I'll run through the 4 basics of it here. One is that you want to learn to eat when you are physically hungry. You have emotional needs. They are legitimate emotional needs that need to be met in a way other than food. Food is never going to fill those emotional hurts and help in that. The other piece to that is asking what you really want. What is it that your taste buds want at that moment? What is it that your body is craving? Another way of asking that is, how do I want to feel when I finish this meal? How do I want my mental clarity and my energy to be when I eat? Also, whenever you eat what you want, give yourself unconditional permission to eat what you want. There's no strings attached. If you really want it, then do the next one, number 3, which is savor it, enjoy it, focus on it. Don't eat distracted. In fact, there's a lot of research. Actually, I know of one research. I can't say a lot of research. I don't know how many studies have shown this, that when you eat distracted, you increase 10% the number of calories that you eat. That's enough to stall weight loss. So put the TV away, put the computer away. If you are watching this eating a meal, I'll even say pause it and come back to it when you're done eating. Focus on your food. And then that will allow you to do the 4th piece, which is stopping when you're satisfied. Learning what your body says when I've had enough. And that's what it feels like in your body. So learning those, walking through those, and the exercise piece. Exercise is so important. I'm an exercise physiologist, so you know I'm going to love this piece of it. But over-exercise or exercising all day where you don't have time for anything else in life, that's not what it's designed for. Exercise is there to decrease your risk of disease, to give you energy, to give you fitness, to be able to go out and do the things that you want to do, but not to take over your life. And your body will adapt, your appetite especially will adapt to what you are doing with your activity. So from a weight loss standpoint, yes, it has been shown to aid in weight loss, but don't make that the all-day exercise to burn the calories. Though one way of looking at exercise for weight loss is accumulating, because every time that you get up and move, you are stirring your metabolism. Speaking of metabolism, make sure that strength training is definitely a part of what you do, because that is going to increase your muscle and therefore increase your metabolism. Another question that has come in around finding your path: what makes up a healthy breakfast? First question you have to answer on that is, what is healthy for you? Is there a particular regimen that your physician has asked you to follow for a health reason? If there's not, and you're just looking at, I just want energy and something that's generally healthy, look at two things. One is on the Powerful Plate, which I talk quite a bit about, that I developed on half carbohydrate, half protein with a little bit of fat thrown in. Now, the rest of the day, a Powerful Plate is going to include a ton of veggies, but for breakfast, unless you're throwing some spinach in an omelet or a smoothie, you're looking at carbohydrate, protein being equal, and then a little healthy fat thrown in. That's going to give you some sustained energy. And the other piece for healthy is variety. In one of my programs, Nourish Your Life, I talk a lot about eating a rainbow, varying the colors, because you're going to have lots of different nutrients depending on the color of a food. So even for me, where my breakfast for years, this is my preference for years, is oatmeal, a protein powder of some sort mixed in, old-fashioned oatmeal as my complex carbohydrate, and then some sort of protein powder mixed in, some nuts for healthy fat, and then a little bit of fruit. Well, on that, what I vary is the fruit. Now, throughout the rest of the day, I also vary the colors of things that I'm having, so I don't have to get all the rainbow in at breakfast. But healthy breakfast is healthy as part of your whole day, and healthy is also what you're having in that moment to give you energy for several hours. Third question that I want to answer that came in, oh, this one is good. Help, I struggle with fast food. Okay. Why do we struggle? And so let's take the struggle part first, and then we'll go into specifics on the fast food. So is the struggle because there's a chaotic lifestyle that you say, the main reason I do this is a convenience issue? If that's the case, start preparing healthy food to have with you so that you don't have to rely just on fast food. Another struggle that may be happening for someone with fast food is that we train our taste buds. And if we've trained them to like excess salt, because we need salt, if we've trained them to like excess salt and excess fat, then you can train them the other way. One possible way of doing that is still have the fast food, cut down the amount, the portion significantly, and have a lot of vegetables with it, a lot of fresh vegetables, either salads or steamed veggies or whatever, to begin retraining those taste buds. With fast food, the struggle can also be the sense of morality that we sometimes put around good food and bad food. If someone says, I struggle with blank sin, we know that that's a moral behavior. That's a moral issue. But fast food is not inherently moral. So if someone is telling themselves, I can't have it because it's bad, then that sets up these rules around it and triggers our sense of autonomy that then says, oh, I'm being deprived. Then therefore, I'm going to have fast food every day. And there's a struggle that begins to go on with that. If you take off, and I encourage you to do this if that's what's causing the struggle for you, is take off the rules around it. Give yourself unconditional permission to have it. And when you do that, pay attention, because some of that power that you've given to the fast food may begin to evaporate. And you may begin to discover, actually, I don't crave it and want it as much as I thought I did. So try that. And then here's the beautiful thing you can do with fast food to really test how much you love fast food, is if it's the food itself you think you really, really love, then go back to intuitive eating and savor it. Get the fast food, put it on a china plate, light the candles, turn on the soft music, and slowly savor, let's try that sentence again, the fast food. And see if maybe you really do love it that much. And if so, then it's a taste issue with the salt and the fat, and you go back to weaning yourself off of that so that the portions are not out of balance from a health standpoint. Those are some ideas with fast food. Let's look at our next question. Oh, I can hear the frustration in this question. How can I deal with the low carb, low fat, no salt, no sugar way of eating? This question highlights the craziness of the diet industry. It takes that big lie of there's only one way and you must conform to that one way, and it takes all the lies that are underneath that big lie and they all bump heads, because really if you try to follow all of that, you're left with lettuce and water. And even water is controversial now of what type of water that you need. And that this type is healthy and this type is bad for you. So when you have that frustration of how do I do all of this, first thing I would encourage you to do is listen inside yourself of, why do I believe this? Do I believe this because it's really true or because it's what I've heard? And if it's something that's causing that much conflict and chaos in any area of life, good chance it's not true. And in this case, it's definitely not true that you have to do all of those things. So first, always think about, is there a medical reason that you need to follow a particular something? You know, you may have something that your physician has said, I need you to go low salt, not no salt, but low salt or low fat or low carb or whatever. Take that into consideration and then go back to that intuitive eating that I talked about earlier and implement that so that you can find out what it is that works for your body and how your body responds to things. Let's go to our last question. This one, I hear the hopelessness, but I have hope for you. I've tried everything and failed. Even if I find something that works, how do I stick with it? This question is powerful. And there are 5 essential components to making habits stick. There are lots of little tips I could give you, but I really want to focus in on these 5 essential pieces. First is increase your belief that you can. And how do you do that? Think through your life with other life changes, things that you have already overcome, things you have already faced and triumphed, and look at what your strengths were during that. What were the resources that you pulled together, either internally or externally. Journal about those and then apply those to these same habits that you're wanting to start now. Second is, what barriers do you feel like you are facing? Is it time? Is it boredom? Is it fear? Are you doing things out of fear? And if you do things out of fear, it's not going to feel good to you, and it's only going to reinforce the issue. So think about what your barriers are, and then come up with ways around those barriers. How can you overcome those barriers? Another one is, look at why you're doing this. They're called benefits. What are the benefits of making these changes? And go through and list as many of them as you can. I talked about my client who, her big why is to set a good example for her young son. But there has to be more than just one big reason. Think of all of the reasons that you're wanting to make these changes. And then make it fun. Whatever you're doing, make it fit your personality. If you enjoy nature, don't set yourself up to be inside doing high energy, high intensity environment around you when you want the peace of nature. But the flip of that is also true. If you enjoy the high energy of lots of people around and music and tons of activity, a quiet walk in the park is not going to be your cup of tea. Don't try that. So do what is fun for you. And then find the support that you need. Remember that old TV, who knows, it may be still on or even with reruns. I've watched so little TV. The one that's where you phone a friend, there's something where you phone a friend. Think about that with this. Have a friend that you can walk with, can cook with, can phone if you are feeling like, oh, I don't really want to do that today. Get a coach, somebody to help you and be your cheerleader as you go through making these habits. Hope that this helped. Hope has answered some of your questions. Thanks so much for watching. And until next time, find your path and fulfill your potential.